Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Enter the manosphere.
Of course. How can I assist you today?
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
So I think previous me would have jumped into the game mode to try and like trap him kind of vibe, just to get control solely for the sake of having control. Not even because I've done this a lot too. This is why I'm like, I don't think I was a player, but I wouldn't even like someone really, but I would like play the game with them and get them to be obsessed with me just because it was fun.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. This is pure gold because this woman recorded her thought process. I've said it many times on this channel that women are agents of chaos. And a big reason why they are chaotic is because their thought process is heavily influenced by their feelings. And this video goes deeper than that. So basically, you are going to hear how she feels and how it affects her actions. I have to ask you to brace yourselves because to understand the purpose of this video, you have to listen to her story. We let her talk a lot in this video, and because our brains work differently, I completely understand that most of you will not make it to the end of the video. Disclaimer, it is not confirmed that she was dating Iman Gadzhi, but she gives some hints that make people in her comment section think she was talking about him. Let's get into it. We men ain't we? Yeah. We men ain't we? Yeah.
The update on the roster is that it is decimated, obliterated. There's only one person left on it, and I might be so stupid for this. It might really bite me and end up hurting and being terrible, but we are taking risks in 2024 in our dating lives and otherwise. And so yeah, I knocked everyone off the roster. Let's get into more detail. Basically, I had someone flying out for a day. I had another person who was flying in. He was going to be here anyway, but basically was coming in to meet me. Another guy, the hot doctor, who had planned trips for us, like fully planned, booked everything. All of those people, I called and said, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to cancel your plans or make other ones because I'm unavailable. And then I just said, I'm going to be so transparent with you and say I met someone I think is quite special and I can't divide my attention. And so I am no longer available to meet up with you. And some people took it well. The hot doctor honestly took it so well. And so did the other guy who was flying in. They really sweet responses. And I think a good sign of like strong character and just good people, because they pretty much said, I'm rooting for you and good luck, and if this person you think is special, they must be exceptional, and so lucky him, and you know, call me later if you're around, basically, which I really appreciated. Some others were more sassy and mean, and they were like, seriously, it's not that serious, we're just gonna get dinner. I'm like, okay, but it gets weird. So anyway, canceled that. I had a ski trip with someone that I canceled. The Hawaii, the Cabo, the everything else, it's all canceled. It is all off the board. All my other DMs are gone. When I say I went nuclear, I just really cleaned house.
I just want to put some emphasis on the caliber of resources offered to this woman and how she reacts to them as they were nothing. This is a product of social media and dating apps. Her network of men does not consist of Johnny next door or Danny from the car dealership. It's worldwide. Men are flying over. Men are flying her over. And only the men who have the resources to do these things will be entertained. Now, why did she decide to cut all of these men off? Let's continue.
Why did I do this? And why is the internet going to be so mad at me for this? Okay, so the backstory, if you're not familiar with this, is I had a free trip to the Galapagos, and I posted this video being like, I have this free trip. I was gonna go with my ex-boyfriend, but we broke up and I don't know who to go with, but if anyone matches XYZ, and I went down my dream list of a partner and said, if anyone matches that, let me know. And then my life turned upside down with, you know, all of these DMs and messages and resumes and whatever being like, oh, I think I might be the partner for you. And so that is why I've had such an influx of all of these dates and people. One of these people, from like the very beginning, the first message, I just thought, something is different. Something is in the air, in the water, something's a little bit different. But was getting to know him, was getting to know other people, blah, blah, blah. Throughout the process, this person very much seemed different. And you can, I'm positive that you know who it is, but
you know what made this guy different? Once again, it's not confirmed it's him, but look at his Instagram profile. A blue check, 1.5 million followers, and he's a public figure. Disney princess syndrome immediately got triggered. This is the ultimate ego boost, and the dopamine rush she got from this profile immediately made her discard all of the other men who made themselves available. Let's continue.
Anyway, I can keep dating around and considering all these people, or I can focus and be more intentional and purposeful in my dating life. Because this started as kind of like a fun, ooh la la, we'll see what happens sort of thing. And then I'm like, okay, at some point, this is just my life. And I really want partnership in my life. And so I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I've found and connected, because of this crazy social media video situation, a really exceptional person. And I think that it would be foolish to kind of pass that by and divide my attention further.
She already made her choice, guys. She didn't even meet him. Women know within the first 10 to 15 seconds if they would. Tinder swindler. Look how she starts compromising her position in this situation.
And there are two primary reasons for that. One is romantic and one is just realistic. The romantic piece is I'm a hopeless romantic, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, you seem like you're amazing and so perfect. Maybe you are. And maybe you aren't. Like, my one red flag still is kind of like everything seems so perfect and buttoned up and like amazing that I'm like, is it actually, like, who really? Are you just saying what I want to hear? Maybe, maybe not, because you never know. And then number two is time. I just don't have time to date all of these people. I have a full-time job. I do content like this because I love it and it's fun, but it does take time. I volunteer with another group. I make content for another group. I am studying for grad school. I'm working out all the time with 75 Heart. Like, time is the most finite resource and is the most precious thing. And I was looking at my calendar and I was like, holy moly, I have these dates with these people, could have a different date every single week, and that's 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week, like, assuming you don't do weekends, whatever, but like, that is so much time and I don't have it to give. I don't have it to give.
Oh, it's so hard. One video message and her DM floods with men who are interested. She doesn't have to start the conversation. She doesn't have to plan the dates. She doesn't have to pay for the dates. All she has to do is show up. Oh, so hard. Here's the problem. Most women find most men unattractive. That's why the majority of men are rejected based on looks alone. And these women form rosters just to boost their egos until something better comes along. That's why this all sounds too good to be true for her, because this is the Disney fairy tale. Let's continue.
And so I cleared everyone. Everybody got cleared off, except for the one. And like I said, this might really bite me in the butt because he's free like once a week, basically. So I get like a once a week, like, we can get together, and it's always on a time limit of sorts. So I'm like, Okay, I get it. But you know, boys got goals and so do I, and so that kind of works.
You see, she breaks the rules for the man that most women want. That's why chasing women is one of the dumbest things you can ever do. Because if a woman wants to be with you, she will be with you in a heartbeat. Let's take it a step further.
Mr. America is a self-described player, so I am pacing myself to say the least. I am not like intimidated, perturbed, concerned that he has been like that in the past, because I kind of have been to a degree as well, and I love the honesty. Like, if he has been bopping around, breaking the hearts of every woman that he sees for the last 10 years of his life, and now he's ready to be more intentional, awesome. Like, I'm meeting you now, not then. And if what we want aligns, then great.
This is pure gold. What did I tell you? She breaks the freaking rules for the man that most women want. She's feeling out loud here. Once a week is no problem as long as this man gives her his validation and commits his status and resources to her. That's all she needs for now.
Because the other thing is, like, I've been on this journey of figuring out my attachment style, my needs, my wants, and for so much of my relational life, I've been choosing partners to meet needs. So needs for security, needs for safety, needs for comfort, needs just all across the board. And I can get into more specifics that are honestly really embarrassing, but as one quick example, my first serious boyfriend was a dentist when I was in college. He was about 10 years older.
10 years older. Resources. Keep that same energy when these men don't want to date you when you hit the wall.
And he was a dentist because he was the richest person I had ever met in my life. Like, I thought because he was a dentist, doctor, whatever, that was like the pinnacle of the greatest thing that I could even imagine. And growing up in a very volatile financial position, I had a very deep need for security, particularly when it related to finances. So we dated, but so much of us dating was coming out of me trying to meet a need as opposed to just dating him to get to know him. And to be fair, at the time I was like 18, so I wasn't, you know, trying to get married or anything like that. He did end up wanting to do that, but I digress.
You see how status and money has played a significant role in her dating portfolio? She's using the word pinnacle. She was already at the pinnacle at 18 years old. Women can't go backwards in lifestyle. That's why she easily dismisses her entire roster, because she already experienced that level. She doesn't marry the dentist. She doesn't commit to him. But she had no problem with him committing his resources to her. Fellas, protect your assets.
Over the years, I've been working on myself in therapy every week and trying to get better, trying to work through these things, and am now like fully, well, no, I'm not fully healed, but basically I keep getting fired by my therapist because, not actually, but basically I stay consistent with therapy, but the thing that I always hear from them is like, you're fine. Like, I'm supposed to give you a diagnosis and you're not anxious, you're not depressed, you're not like, you don't have anything. You're good, you're healthy, and like things are working well. I'm like, okay, that's awesome, and I'm grateful for that extremely. But the reason that I stay in therapy and I'm continually like, well, you know, I felt kind of anxious about my lunch today, so, and then they'll be like, okay, fine, anxiety disorder it is, because you have to have a diagnosis in order to like bill insurance or whatever that situation is. Anyway.
You can't make this stuff up. She loves to talk about herself. Women love to talk about themselves, and that's why they always tell on themselves, because it's therapeutic. Feelings, remember? And now, with social media, it opened a can of worms, and women can't stop making a fool of themselves because they want to be heard and need to be seen. Women are lonely. They have an abundance of attention, but they lack deeper connections. That's why this woman says she voluntarily goes to therapy. She needs a friend, but I have a feeling nobody can stand her.
So I stay in therapy because in every new situation in life, you're interacting with new people, new inputs, new factors. And I just think that therapy is a really helpful way to stay strong and healthy, like staying in the gym, but for your mind and for your emotions. And so that's why I stay in it. But with that said, I've done a lot of work and have so much more to do, but I'm at a really, really solid, strong place. And for that reason, I think I'm at a good place to be potentially dating Mr. America, because previous me would have, I think I probably would have heard like, oh, you were a player and you dated Miss, like he dated a bunch of, I did Miss North Carolina and he dated a bunch of pageant girls from all over the place.
See that? See that body language? This is positive. Being a player, dating other beauty queens is positive. No woman wants a man that nobody wants. If she's able to bag this dude, then she will be the queen of queens. That's what's going through her mind. Why do you think Leonardo DiCaprio keeps getting women even though they all know what their fate is? Feelings. Disney princess syndrome.
So I think previous me would have jumped into the game mode to try and like trap him kind of vibe, just to get control solely for the sake of having control. Not even because I've done this a lot too. This is why I'm like, I don't think I was a player, but I wouldn't even like someone really, but I would like play the game with them and get them to be obsessed with me just because it was fun. Like maybe that does make me a player, and that's terrible, but it was a control thing where I felt out of control in other ways. And so I wanted to try to regain some control within my personal relationships to like compensate, if that makes sense. So all of that to say, currently being at a place where I don't have anyone in the roster back up like hanging out because
Red flag alert.
Of course it makes sense. This woman gets off of attention. She's obsessed with herself, and she loves it when others are obsessed with her, because losing this attention is painful and makes her feel empty. The fear of abandonment. I don't think she was diagnosed properly. She's not healed. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm getting narcissistic, borderline personality disorder vibes here. Once again, bagging this man is the ultimate ego boost. Keep this red flag in mind.
So all of that to say, currently being at a place where I don't have anyone in the roster back up like hanging out, because also, let's be honest, I'm not going to go back to anyone that I kicked off the roster. Like if you got kicked off the roster, it's because someone else was a more compelling, better match for me, and I can't see going back to anyone else, mostly out of respect for them, but also why would I waste my time going backwards when I'm going forwards? And we'll see how this works. If it works, great. If it doesn't, great, and we'll move along to whatever comes next. But yeah, with that said though, I think I've been quick to jump in head first with my emotions in relationships previously. And so the whole like falling for Mr. America, falling fast, like previous me would have been very, very invested and then wanting to play the game and all of these things. And I feel so good right now because I feel so detached, but in a healthy, good way. Like I think he is a tremendous person. I'm enjoying getting to know him, and I'm not interested in anyone else, mostly because who has the time? Me don't have the time. And that's about the long and the short of it. So this has been a really wonderful therapy session for me. Thank you for chatting through it.
You see? Therapy. She's feeling out loud. She can't shut up. She needs to talk to her imaginary friends. The more she talks, the more she exposes herself as a fool. She's trying to tell herself that she's not obsessed with this dude, yet you drop your full roster of potential candidates for a guy that you haven't even met yet and deem him better than the rest. She doesn't even consider that this guy most likely also has a roster. What makes you so special? He says he's a player. What makes you think he's not trying to play you? You see how important it is for her to tell herself she's doing the right thing? Because she has to feel good about her actions. Now, we let her speak for almost 4 minutes. Pay attention, because in this segment, she says something about the man she's dating that makes people think it's Iman.
Do you remember when I said that making dinner at home was going to be too intense for a date, so I took this man on a helicopter instead? Yeah, well, the sole survivor of the roster is coming over for dinner. How did this happen? I'm very excited because having people over for dinner, just like my friends, is one of my favorite things. But I feel like having a man over for dinner is so intense, hence the helicopter instead. But we're trying to chill it out, slow it down, not be so intense about things. Also, I'm gonna do my best to not do what I want to do, which is lean into my performative streak where I try to like impress people into liking me or wanting to have anything to do with me by being just like, oh, amazing, la la. I don't know why it feels so intense to me to have like a man coming to the home to eat. We just wrapped up our dinner date. He just left to go home and I am like so tired but also buzzing. So a couple of things. One, he did in fact drive 3 hours to get here, and then he originally had said, oh, maybe let's hang out on Saturday, and I was thinking that's because he was going to be in town, but then he was like, actually, I'm gonna go back to Connecticut 3 hours back tomorrow morning, so he's not free this weekend. He said he's not free again until next Friday. So tonight, it's Thursday, so he was like, next Friday I'll be back and we could do something. So that's kind of a bummer because we had a really fun time. I came over, he brought flowers from a florist, not a grocery store. There's a big difference, and that was a really nice, sweet touch. And then he brought some extra snacks and he brought some ingredients for what we were making. And then we kind of made dinner and then we kind of got distracted. Our chemistry is great. Thanks for asking. We're still keeping it calm, cool, collected, if you know what I mean. Like, we're not going too fast. We're not rushing anything, but good chemistry. So yeah, it's actually like a little bit absurd. Yeah. So now I'm getting flustered and distracted. Okay, back to it. Okay, yes, so we took a little pause in the dinner making, but then got back to the dinner making and then had dinner, and I'll show you. And they're basically genetically modified to be the perfect strawberry. And so I got those because I'm doing 75 hard and he is doing something called, can I say this without giving him away? Monk mode? I don't think you can find it if you look up monk mode, man. I don't think. I want to be respectful of privacy, you know? So, anyway, but monk mode is basically like a focused health and wellness kind of plan. He's extremely focused businessman, into fitness, all of those things. And so, I wanted to do a dessert, but not anything that would be really crazy or make us feel really bad in the morning type of situation. So did the strawberries. That was really nice. And then we just talked for a while about the Bible and politics and theology and philosophy, among other things. Just kind of ran the gamut of topics, and it was really good. And then around 11-ish, 11:30, he was like, okay, well, I think it's time for me to go, and he is gonna stay with his friend tonight, I guess. I don't know. I was like, okay, bye.
He's the first one that comes up when you type in monk mode on YouTube, with a video with over 1 million views. She's trying to impress this guy, and that's why she didn't sleep with him, because she wants to be in a relationship with him. Sex is not enough. You see that she is emotionally invested. She kissed him though, but she didn't go all the way.
I know very little about him other than the hours and hours that we've spent together on each date. Had an amazing time. But yeah, we're calling it off. I need to think. I need to process, evolve, some might say. And I just really am proud because of the people on the roster. I chose really freaking well, even though he called it off. Like, just to be clear, I wasn't like, I'm breaking up with you. No, he brought it up and said what he said. So yeah, that's where we are. Like I said, raw, real, coming right off the call. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. And that's all there is to say for now. But that is, at least for now, the last update on Mr. America.
What did he say? This is the part women don't like to talk about because rejection hurts, especially when you're on the receiving end and talking to people like the bag was already secured. This is what you need to tell, okay? The reason why he rejected you is what you need to tell the people who are watching so they can learn why a high status man would dump a woman like you. I have an idea of what he said, but I'm gonna show you why he broke it off. Check this out.
This Friday night date night has gone up in flames. I planned a surprise for this Broadway show and a whole evening of wonderful things, and none of it is happening anymore. So originally I was going on a date with Mr. America to this wonderful place for dinner that I've been really wanting to go to for a long time, and then to a Broadway show. And I was so excited about this show because it's about to go off of Broadway, and I was trying to think of ways to surprise him and just make it a little bit extra special. And so after he got the tickets, I reached out to the team at the show about planning a surprise to go backstage, meet the cast, just like to make it special and have just some surprises lined up for him. And then I did the same thing with the restaurant. And so it was just gonna be like a really special night, I thought. And then he called me a couple of days ago and called things off and said, like, now's not the time to continue seeing each other, and our date on Friday is canceled. We were gonna do something tomorrow too, so all of weekend plans up in flames. Cool, that's fine. Oh, and it is fine, like everything. I'll just hang out tonight and have self-care time, I guess, whatever. That's okay, but it is just disappointing because it feels like every time I try to do something that's like a surprise or something a little bit extra special, like the helicopter situation, it just goes up in flames.
Janice, love bombing.
Love bombing is a form of psychological and emotional abuse that involves a person going above and beyond for you in an effort to manipulate you into a relationship with them. It looks different for every person, but it usually involves some form of excessive flattery and praise, over-communication of their feelings for you, showering you with unneeded/unwanted gifts, early and intense talks about your future together. Love bombing can happen intentionally or unintentionally. Although it's most often recognized by romantic partners, your family members and friends can love bomb you, too.
This woman is dealing with mental health issues, man. This woman is exhausting and exhausted this man real quick. Mental ill health among women is on the rise. 1 in 5 women, 19%, experience a common mental disorder, such as anxiety or depression. compared with 1 in 8 men, 12%. Fellas, don't judge a book by its cover. She is physically attractive. That's why she has no problem getting attention from men, high status men in particular. But it doesn't matter how good looking a woman is. If she is dysfunctional, 9 out of 10 times, a man will run! Get to the chopper!
I'm like thankful to TikTok and thankful to you. Many of you have been like, girl, you got problems, going to therapy. I've been in therapy for 10 years. Thank you very much.
Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.